What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Allsmith. Today, I'm really excited to connect with one of the defining voices within the CrossFit space. He's an athlete, he's a broadcaster, he's an analyst, and he's an amazing storyteller. Recently, from navigating the loss of his father to becoming one of the most respected minds in fitness media, today's guest brings a truly rare perspective on performance, broadcasting, business, wellness culture, and where CrossFit and fitness are headed next. This conversation explores grief, preparation, purpose, controversy, and what it actually takes to build credibility in a world addicted to attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to introduce Chase Ingraham to the show. What up, man?
Man, that is a heck of an intro that I don't know if I've earned yet, but I'll try to. So I appreciate that.
I think the thing that I think about in putting that together loosely is that you've earned it in the reps, Chase. You've shown up to CrossFit broadcasting. You've shown up to do the reps with your affiliate, with your gym. You've connected with some of the highest performers and some of the greatest minds within the CrossFit space, and you've done it for a really long fucking time, dude. And so, in my opinion, you've earned it, and it's pretty cool to have you here today, man.
Thank you. I have been very fortunate to rub shoulders with a lot of influential people in my life, especially just in the CrossFit world, and being able to do that in a position of, I don't know, like just luck and optimism in opportunity, I think has been really cool. And I've just tried to maximize everything that's come my way for the betterment of those that are around me. It's like CrossFit's kind of the baseline of everything that I currently have now, and I just try to make sure that everyone else can get an opportunity like I have, based off where their life's going. So it's been a privilege for sure.
It's funny to think back that in hearing your voice, I think about certain open announcements or certain things like I feel sweat dripping down my back because I'm like, man, this guy's about to tell me about the workouts I'm about to do. And every time I hear your voice, Dave Castro, or certain people's voices, Adrian Bosman, like I'm like, oh man, I gotta where's the icy hot?
like Pavlov dog rule.
Yeah,
like
totally.
The bell rings and all of a sudden we're hungry. So unfortunately, I don't want my voice to be the bearer of stress and anxiety, but it just depends on your experience, I guess.
Yeah, totally. No, but you've done a really good job of playing different roles, right? Like you're really good at getting into the weeds and playing with the statistics, very similar to like Tommy Marquez. Tommy is just like such a sponge when it comes to like CrossFit statistics. And he and I were chatting a couple weeks ago, and then I recently had Marston from the Buttery Bros, and we chopped it up a little bit. And Marston's more like me. He's like a feeler, a visionary, and just kind of like a lover boy. And then you talk to Tommy, and he's like, here are the X's and O's, here's the thing, da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I was just throwing a football with you a couple of years ago at, in Kauai, doing the Ultimate Hawaiian Triathlon. And or the Ultimate Hawaiian Trail Run, rather. I'm sorry. And it's just funny that like everybody just has their thing that like magnetizes towards their interest, and then they're able to share that skill with the world. And dude, it's just dope to see that you're able to do it all. You're training hard, you're broadcasting still, you're running, get with the programming, your podcast. You're still running your affiliate, it seems. Like, give me a little peek behind the curtain, man, to share with our audience. Like, what does a day in the life of Chase Ingraham look like? Being a dad, a business owner, a husband, father.
Man, it's a full day. Like, I'm maximizing every second of the day to the best I can. I still take some time to just deload and unplug for a while, but I'm up early to train. I've got my affiliate now. I've returned to the garage days, so I de-evolved that. And it's funny is that I still privately train. I've got two mainstay clients. One's 87, the other one's 77. Right, and it's so cool to see that side of life. The 87-year-old is one of my members. It's her mom, his mom, and it's less about fitness and just more about connection.
Yep.
Because it's kind of her opportunity to just it's like a knitting circle of two is what I like to call it with her. And it's really cool to see. And then, but yeah, I'm up early. I train early, get it done about 5 a.m. I've got a mainstay training partner that I've been training with for about 17 years, and me and her have gone through, like competition days to just trying to stay fit for the rest of our lives, kind of a style. And we've been very committed to keeping a regular schedule, which really helps, right? If you training alone is very difficult to do. I did that for quite some time, especially when I was just running the affiliate myself. Is just whatever time I had available, I try to make time for myself. And now I make time for everybody else once I get my early workout in. And man, I'm so lucky. Like, I truly am so lucky. I've got 2 kids, 8 and 6. It's a boy and a girl. I get to work out early, come home, make some coffee, wake them up for school, take them to school. I get to volunteer at the school. I get to pick them up. I get to coach every single one of their sports while doing that. Yeah, I run Get With The Programming with my one of my best buds, Bill Grunler. We've been doing that for almost 6 years now. That was our COVID project, actually. And then
Bill's dope, by the way. I've had Bill on the show a couple times, and he's just like, both of you guys are just, you're well versed. You're in the weeds. Your boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. You've done it. You're not just talking from the umbrella or the drone point of view. Like, you've been in the sauce. You've gotten lost in the sauce, and you've figured your way out.
We drank the Kool-Aid, got lost in the sauce, and now we have some institutional knowledge of the old days and what we'd like to see in the future. But it's been really cool. And then, that being a dad, we've been I've been married since 2014, so this will be year 12.
Congrats,
with
man.
me and my wife coming up in August. I got to remember that August it's coming up quick.
Yes, sir.
And and she's an attorney, and so I have a position of, like, with my work is, like, as long as I get the job done in any timely manner that I get it done, I have the freedom to really do that, which has been really nice working for CrossFit HQ now full time. Mm-hmm. I work as an affiliate rep with the South Central United States, and I represent 7 states worth of CrossFit gyms. It's about 645 gyms. And I say it like this is dumbing down my job a little bit, but I'm on with like a middleman concierge service, just taking care of people with whatever they need. I can't do the job for them, but I can help them do their job better. And then with that is running the Sport of Fitness podcast has been really cool. I'm glad they brought that back for the CrossFit community. You mentioned broadcasting. That's been doing that since 2012, and I don't know. It's if I have time to do nothing, I feel like I'm actually doing nothing with my life. So I need to fill it with something to feel like I'm productive at any point in time. So yeah, there's a lot going on, but I don't see it as a lot. I just see it as I have so many friends that, or in just strangers that would kill for one of those opportunities. Mm-hmm. The fact that I get to do all of them, as long as I just keep it on the rails, it's like I said, it's been a wild ride. I think. I don't know what I'd do with myself without it. So trying to keep the ball rolling, trying not to get fired so I can continue to do the things that I love most.
I like that. How do you navigate the anxiety of it all? Like, in my brain, I think about, like, Thran, for example. Mm-hmm. Everybody's excited during the set of 21. And then during the set of 9, everybody can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Yep. But it's the 15 set that really, like, grabs people, and you have a decision to make, right? Like, hey, I'm going to grab that thruster bar and I'm not going to put it down. I'm going to go straight to the pull-up bar and I'm just going to knock these out. Or I don't really want to hurt today. I don't want to pick it up just yet. I'm going to break these pull-ups. And you think you're going to make it up on 9, and it never works. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious, like, from an anxiety and a hormonal perspective and physiological perspective, like, when you go to bed at nighttime, you're like, oh, like, I just did bedtime with my children. I just got some time with my wife.
Yep.
Now I'm trying to prepare for the next day. I don't know anybody other than you and Jason Calipo that's, like, really consistent around, like, these 5 a.m. workouts. Mm-hmm. Like, that's tough. Like, And
when that alarm goes off, that's a decision.
Yeah. And it's just something I think about around, like, how do you consistently do that day after day? Because I love the perspective of gratitude that you have, where it's like, hey, I get to do this. And because I knock it out early, it sets the tone and the energy for the rest of the day. So it's clearly created, like, a beautiful incentive model for you. But also, I'm trying to understand, like, the start of that sucks, man.
Yeah. It's a great question, and it's funny that you mentioned anxiety or stress, and I think I don't really have that, and I think part of that is because of that early morning workout, and it sounds so over the top. Is like, oh, how is a workout going to deal with your stress? And I think anyone that's dealt with either anxiety or depression, there's an element of not having control of your own destiny in a bit of a position. So it sounds so simple, but choosing to wake up early, choosing to work out is a very hard choice to make. I don't enjoy when my alarm goes off ever. I usually get up at like 4:20 in the morning. I like to take a shower and just kind of decompress before I even go out into the world. But having that small win really on the ride home from the gym sets the tone for the rest of the day. It's like, listen, I did the hardest thing I was going to do today that I didn't think I could do, and I did it. And so when you start your day off with a little bit of a win, it just gives you some sense of control of more of the things that you can control. And I had to learn this in college in a really hard way, is that I did actually deal with a lot of stress and anxiety because of the major that I was in. I was a double major in mathematics and mechanical engineering. Your junior year is usually when your core base classes bog you down with 15 hours plus labs, and it's a high pressure situation in terms of, listen, I want to make sure I do well here. I want to get a degree. I want to graduate. I want to join the workforce. But at the same time, I was a swimmer. So I was swimming Division I at Southern Methodist University here in Dallas, and balancing both was really hard. And it sounds so simple, like almost anything. Like CrossFit to a certain degree is like simple, not easy, right? Is that I had to disseminate like things I can control and things I can't control. And it's usually the things you can't control that cause you the most anxiety or stress or pressure, because you can't control it, therefore it feels out of your control. When you and then you don't do the things that you can, so you feel like you're failing across the board. And it's something I found in CrossFit, which is funny that thinking of like, hey, how does working out help with that? And I would tell this to my members all the time, is like, what a privilege it is to be scared of the round of 15 of Fran. Like there's people who go their entire lives refusing to even put themselves in that position. Right? And that is not the way you go about life. And who knew that you could learn life lessons from a 5-minute Fran workout? But it's choosing to take the step, that's the win. It's not the result of the step that you take. And the freedom to fail in CrossFit that I've learned since, it's been almost 18 years now, has helped me realize that failure isn't a final destination. And I learn more from those failures than I do from my successes. I expect to succeed where I feel like I can, and it's the failures that put me on the path to success. So I don't really have the anxiety and the stress. And part of that early 5 a.m. workout is starting your day off with a win. All right, that's the first win of the day. I'm already winning, so now I've got some momentum to take into the day. I will have more stress throughout the day if I actually don't do the workout in the morning. That's where I find
I agree
stress.
with that for sure.
It's hanging over your head. And it's like, all right, well, if I got the kids, I've got work. Now where's my workout going to fit in? That might add some stress to my day. But once I do it early and get it over with, it's not to say it's a carefree day, but I'm just looking for the next win after the first one.
This episode is brought to you by Allsmith. If you've been listening for a while, you know this is bigger than just workouts. At Allsmith, fitness is the vessel. Life is the true mission. We help people upgrade not just their body, but their routines, their mindset, their energy, their confidence, their relationships, and their overall direction. Some people work with us in person through coaching, through accountability, through movement, through community, and through real human connection. Others choose to work with us online from anywhere in the world through customized programming, lifestyle design, habit building, check-ins, support, and a system built around your actual life. Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal is creating a life that feels aligned, resilient, energized, and truly sustainable. If you feel stuck, if you've been putting yourself absolutely last in all the things in your to-do list, if you want support, structure, accountability, and community that genuinely gives a damn, Allsmith might be your next step. Movement is the entry point. Your peak expression is the destination. Head over to allsmith.co
or shoot me a message on Instagram at The Real Bryce Smith, or shoot a message to our team at AllSmithCo, and let's build something beautiful.
Yeah, I like that. I also very much appreciate you sharing that analogy around what a privilege it is to have the stress or the potential of failure on a 15 set of Fran, because most people won't even embark on that. And I think that right there, if people take nothing else from our chat today, it's that right there. It's the Gary V analogy of like, go be the man or the woman in the arena. You're going to learn way more than trying to chat GPT or to try to like study about what that 15 set feels like. It's like, go do it and then go do it again and then go do it again. And then before you know it, like you become the expert because you've had various levels of experience there. I think that's such a beautiful way to put that. And we can talk about it. We can romanticize about it. We can put different language and adjectives around it. Sure. Very few things really encompass having that experience where you're like, what is happening right now? And here we go. Like I remember doing Fran and having the expectations, like you said, and like just not working out as well. And then I remember doing Fran almost like pseudo angry, like it's not for the bar. It's not for anybody else. It's for me. Like I'm going to cognitively decide that I'm going to hang on to the 15 set of thrusters. No, even if I have to pause, even if my workout time is worse, I don't care. Yeah. I'm going to focus on my win is hanging on to that bar. And I have to give a shout out to CJ Martin, who was my coach for a really long time at Invictus. And he always talked about during his infamous, horrible middle finger 30-minute EMOMs, pick your main event. And dude, there was numerous times, like when I first got to Invictus, the year you got married in 2014, like I would just be like slogging over the box on the burpee box jump station. And he would look at me, he'd be like, dude, you just need to stop. And my stubborn ass was like, no way. Like, I'm going to keep going. Like, I don't care if I don't make the minute or whatever happens. Like, but it was just cool because it's like I had to feel that feeling of inadequacy to graduate to the level of like, oh, I can do this, and then try and fail. And then get to the level of like, whoa, I'm like doing this. Oh my gosh, we're going to the CrossFit Games now. And it's like you need to go through that process as a human. And that's why I give so much like kudos to the CrossFit experience. We just had Pat Barber on the other day, and we were talking about just like romanticizing some of the like old school experiences. And it's stuff like that, man, where it's like your level of humility. Like I went from pro athlete to CrossFit, and I'm like, I got this thing, and I was just getting my ass kicked, dude. And it's like, I don't know, there's something to that that's incredibly beautiful that sets up the transferable skills for what's next in life. And you don't really know what it's going to look like. But I've watched you do it, and I was like, you know what? This is super freaking cool. And then you took that and transitioned it into like, hey, I still train, but my why has changed and my timing has changed. And then I use fitness as a tool to guide the rest of my life rather than it kind of owning me. And so I saw that, and I was like, damn, I really want to learn from Chase, because for so long I didn't have fitness. Fitness had me. Yeah. And that did create anxiety, where it was like, well, if I don't get Murph in this time, like I'm going to have a bad rest of the day. Or like, if I don't hit this snatch or this back squat, like I suck, and I'm going to be a horrible coach the rest of the day. And it's like the immaturity. I look back and I'm like, dang, I don't really love who I was, but I do love that I had the courage to embark on the hard journey to learn those lessons. But now I'm in a different season, and I'm looking up to people like you, and I'm like, how do you navigate that early morning and remove the expectations, replace them with appreciation, to use your fitness as a tool to be an awesome dad, business owner, and contributor to the world?
Well, I think you nailed something that I really liked hearing. It was like the inadequacies that people feel about themselves. And I feel like a lot of that centers around not knowing who they are, like individually. And not to get like too deep on it, but it's like most people's fears or inadequacies or uncomfortability factors or embarrassment around those that are around them, whatever they put on themselves, is because they don't know who they are. I was like, I don't know where my line is. Like, where is that line going to be? I don't know what I'm capable of. I also don't know where my failure point is. And when you don't know those things, like, that does cause a level of stress, maybe anxiety. But when you touch on inadequacies, and that's what I usually tell people in the gym, it's the reason why the community is so awesome, because it's centered around a CrossFit workout, is because putting yourself in that position, rarely anybody does over the course of their life. And I think that's where people find the most stress, is that, oh, I don't know what I am capable of. I also don't know where my ceiling is or where the floor is. And that is what caused people to have those certain feelings about themselves. And who knew that the round of 15 is like, okay, I either have to hang on to this because this is what I've decided myself, or what's even cooler sometimes, like, I'm okay breaking today. I'm so at peace with myself and where I am that I'm not hanging my hat on the end goal here. I woke up early, I got the workout done, I'm going as hard as I want to, and that's enough for the day. And so to your question, is that finding that out?
Real quickly, man, that's so well said. Like, there's a time and a place to pick and choose intensity, which is why I love people like you, people like Jason Khalipa, Pat Barber, some of the OGs within the space, Becca Voigt as well. Constantly varied intensity, functional movement. You pick and choose the intensity based on the goals at hand.
True, and it's the intensity piece is relative to physiological and psychological tolerances.
Well said.
And people always forget the second part, right? That is when we think about, let's just think about CrossFit intensity. Everybody hears the word intensity and they think hard as you can. Like, yeah, maybe in Fran, but not in a 5K, and certainly not in a 30-minute EMOM, right? But intensity, like I said, it's relative intensity to your physiological, which could be, how do I even feel today? Maybe I feel like shit. All right, well, maybe today isn't max intensity of what you could do fresh, because physically I'm not in a position to do that. So I will work out to my physiological tolerance for the day. Or I feel great and I'm not just there mentally. All right, well, let's just feel great and take the pressure of being amazing off the table psychologically. And that's where the relative intensity comes from. And I think people have lost the definition, the true definition of what intensity does. Yes, intensity drives our results in CrossFit. That's what we said from the beginning. That is verbatim in the level 1. But people have lost, especially the psychological part. And that's where I had to learn, because I got lost in competition once I got a taste of the CrossFit Games. I made the CrossFit Games individually in 2010. I joke that I was the only one competing. Everybody else was working out, so I just snuck in there before everybody figured out that they could do it too. And I judged everything I did based off PRs, time, qualification status, and where I landed on the leaderboard. And that's just where I was in life. But when I first started CrossFit, it was so baseline level. I just wanted to get fit, look good, and try to find someone to spend the rest of my life with because of what I did physically. And now it's almost like a full circle moment. It's like, yeah, listen, CrossFit was never meant to be lived inside the CrossFit gym. The CrossFit gym was to allow us to live outside the CrossFit gym. And so many of us have got so stuck in the 4 walls of the gym as if that was the whole purpose of CrossFit to begin with. You could ask Greg Glassman now. The whole point of CrossFit was to make everything else outside the door easier, more fun, more enjoyable. Not judge ourselves inside the gym and then take that with us outside the gym. What a rough life that was for a while, and I lived that life for a long time. And the thing that snapped me out of it was my son was probably 4 or 6 months old. I just turned 35, so my head was like, okay, let's try to make Masters Games because the 35 division just opened up, and maybe this is my chance to go back and get a taste of it again. And I was so broken. Like, my back was, I've had chronic back issues, since I can remember. And he put his hands up out of the bathtub and asked me to pick him up. And I couldn't do it. What am I doing? Like, I'm 35. Like, what am I doing? And now at 43, I have navigated those waters, and I don't always do it right. Instagram is a highlight reel, and nobody sees a lot of the behind the scenes things. And I fail on a daily basis, whether it's at work, at home, as a husband, as a father. I fail every day. But like I said before, is that what I've learned is that those failures do not define who you are. It's how you respond to those failures that define who you are. And so giving an opportunity is like, I get upset and then I try to learn from it. I don't always do it the right way, but I try to do it the best way I can. And so now it's like, yeah, I'm going to work out. I'm going to stay fit. It's kind of nice being the fittest dad at the elementary school that shows up to pick their son in carpool. That's a point of pride for me. I like that.
Let's go.
I like that. That's a fun, it's a fun joke with the other dads, which is great. I enjoy that part, but it's also fun to just like be able to be there for my kids, whatever it is. Yeah. Right? Be able to be there for my wife, whatever it is. Be able to be there for my friends, whatever it is. And whatever it is. Right? There was the media crew did something at the games last year in Albany, and like CrossFit is what? Right? Fill in the blank. And it was very simple for me, and it was one word. CrossFit's freedom. Right? I have the freedom physically, emotionally, intellectually, right? Psychologically, pick a category, to do anything I want to do because of CrossFit. Right? What do you want to do? Hey, let's go climb Mount Rainier. Cool. I can do that. Let's go play pickup basketball. I can also do that. Can you help me move? I can do that. I don't want to do that, but I can help you do that. Right? Can you pick me up, Dad? Yeah, I'll never not be able to pick you up again. I promise. And so the goal shifted, and it's like 360 that I've come to. It's a full circle moment with CrossFit. It took a while to get there. Like I said, 18 years. And I would say 12 of those was just me hating on my own fitness forever. Now I look back at like the scores that I thought sucked. I'm like, damn, man, I was fit. Mm-hmm. I was a fit dude. I wasn't the fittest dude, but now that I look back, I have an appreciation of what I was. And I wish I had a little bit more of that at the time. And knowing that now, it's like imparting things on your kids. Like, hey, listen, what I thought I was when I was 8, like I would try to take that burden off and just be able to look back. And it's been a fun ride. And man, it's going to be a ride for a long time. So
this episode of All Smith is brought to you by our friends over at Kalo and their new smart ring. I've been wearing the Kalo smart ring the past few months, and I love how simple it is. It seamlessly fits within my lifestyle and is not invasive into any elements of my life. It tracks my sleep, my movement, my heart rate, my HRV, my stress, my body temperature, and it gives you real awareness around your lifestyle and how it's impacting your recovery and performance. What makes it perfect for me is simply the versatility. I can wear it while coaching, while training, while working, while sleeping, or just living life, and it quietly collects the data in the background. And the best part is it's under $200 and there's zero subscription. No monthly fees, no gimmicks, just clean, affordable health tech. Head over to kalo.com/allsmith and use code allsmith at checkout to get your discount. You can also find it at select Walmart stores and at walmart.com. Now let's get back to the show.
I love that, man. I love that. It's always a mystery looking forward, but it's science looking back. When you look back, you're like, damn, I was really fit. I was doing the thing, but I couldn't see it at the time because I was wearing these foggy glasses that I couldn't do what Rich Froning was doing or somebody else that was at the top of the leaderboard. And so it's just very interesting to see the different headspaces of people that are performing at a high level, but very similar to you, man. Like I remember taking my dog for a walk, and there's a lot of bunnies around us here in La Mesa, here in San Diego. And one of my dogs like ran towards a bunny and it like yanked my arm. And I just remember feeling like, oh my gosh, my elbow's going to fall off. And then I remember the very next morning, I went to like drink a cup of coffee and like the tendonitis of the like medial epicondyle pain and like all the different things I was doing on my elbow. Like I couldn't even like really make it to my mouth. I had to bring my mouth to the coffee cup. And I'm like, okay, this is a disaster. Like I'm limping because my the bursitis in my left hip from trying to squat 400 plus pounds all the time. Right. I'm trying to snatch and be a gymnast and figure out these handstand obstacle courses when it's not really meant for me. I think it's time to hang it up.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on the
man.
sport. Like, it just got to the point where I was like, as a former basketball guy, a guy that was used to throwing a football around, a baseball around, like playing hide and seek, like riding on a freaking Razor scooter, riding bikes around. Like, we grew up in 115 degrees in LA, no air conditioning, and would like hop the fence into our neighbor's yard to go swimming. I was like, I think I'm meant to be upright. I'm 6'4", 225 pounds. Like, I don't know if I should keep doing these things at like 35 years old. I think it's time to make the choice that I'll do some of them.
That's any sport.
Sure.
Right? Any sport at its peak level. I mean, look at football players. Their average lifespan in the NFL is like, or career span is 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, the NFL stands for not for long. It's
right.
brutal, man.
And imagine what it does on their bodies. Basketball players in their knees or their low back. Baseball players in their shoulders and elbows. Like, anyone that dedicates their life to be the pinnacle of whatever that sport is, right, not just CrossFit, is going to sacrifice something. Not everybody, but they're going to sacrifice something for that greatness that they wanted to achieve, right? And that's just the choice that they are allowed to make. And the fun thing about my journey has been is like, yeah, I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. One because I separated my shoulder in high school playing basketball. The other was because I was trying to be a games level athlete and I caught a snatch under fatigue that I probably should not have even attempted when I did that, right? Did CrossFit hurt me? Hell no. I did.
So that right there is the thing where I wanted to take the conversation next. I appreciate you sharing that because I say the same thing. CrossFit didn't hurt me. I did.
No.
I made the choice to embark on a journey to squeeze the juice out of the orange of my athletic potential in a sport. There's a personal accountability that comes from that. I would argue that early on I had a victim mentality, like, you know, the systems, the circumstance, you know, whatever happened at, you know, when I tweaked my elbow, it was because the lightning scares in Wisconsin. We had like warmed up to a heavy snatch and we were ready to go out there and there was lightning scares. And so they're like, oh, you guys need to go back. And the warm-up area was like a good distance from where our like holding area was. And so like there's a lot of circumstances available, but it's like, hey, guess what? I knew what I signed up for. I made the cognitive choice. And there's a personal responsibility that comes with that. And when you get to the point of accepting that, now you take ownership and responsibility for the rest of your life. You're not sitting there pointing the finger at anybody else where you got 3 fingers now pointing back at you. And that's what I want to kind of embark on this journey with you around masculinity and trying to understand this idea of like blaming culture and not taking responsibility, because
it's a lot of that lately.
There's a lot of that. And what I see is just like, you know what? If you take ownership and responsibility for the choices that you make, if your words and your actions align, if you take it back to the fundamental value of put your damn grocery cart away, treat your neighbor with kindness. If you go to the restroom and take a piss, you see a piece of trash on the floor, throw it away. Like, be a part of the solution rather than the psychological concept of, not my problem, not my job. Somebody else will get to it. Something about CrossFit taught me that. And I don't know if that's everybody's experience, but I kind of wanted to like play ping pong with you and explore that a little bit.
Well, I think some of that too is just personal responsibility and accountability, right? And we do learn that through CrossFit. It's like whatever you want, you're going to have to work for. And it's kind of nice in a sense because it's such an individualized training methodology sport, if you want to go that direction. And it's somewhat transactional and input-output. But you're not just going to be great, right? You're going to have to put in the work. And most of the time, if people dedicate themselves to put in the work, the nice thing about CrossFit and the way it works is that usually you will get better if you work hard. And that type of feedback is really nice. It's not always the same thing in team sports or other sports where other people can influence the results of your competition or your sport. And so that's one thing. But in terms of, I'm trying to think
I'll say this with CrossFit, the work works.
Yeah.
And like you said, simple, not easy. And that's another thing to play with and deconstruct, because what I'm seeing right now, it's very difficult for me in the Allsmith community a little bit, because I don't love digital or social media marketing. I love this. I love real life conversation. I love meeting people for coffee, hopping on a phone call where it's not always documented, where you have to like be performative. It's like, no, like the answer to most questions is it depends. I'm not going to say like, hey, in the next 60 days, here's my overpromise to you. If you do X, Y, and Z, you know, the Bryce Smith or the All Smith program, you're going to get this. It's like, well, it depends. Like, you know, how much are you willing to give up? How much are you willing to contribute? Like, what does your lifestyle look like up until this point? There's a lot of variables and things to take into consideration. However, I can guarantee that I'll care and I'll hold your hand. I'll give you a hug when you need it. I'll give you a push. I'll have the hard conversation when we need to have it. And the goal is to guide you towards your peak expression, whatever that looks like, customizable to you. But that doesn't sound good on an Instagram reel. It's like, hey, you have to do all the work, but you're going to pay me, and I'm going to make it hard on you. I'm not going to make it easier, but you're going to become a better person in the process. You just can't see it yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think some of that too is that a lot of people want to, there's a lot of people that feel like they're the main character. Right. And I don't have that syndrome of like main character. It's like, oh, the world revolves around me. It's like, no, we are a part of something so much bigger than what we are on a daily basis. Like, and the one thing that we can control is that, like, I don't want to leave a lasting impact. Like, I don't want that type of legacy where I'm chasing a title, a status, right? Like, I want to make sure, like, it sounds so cheesy, but it's like, leave the world a better place than when you found it. Mm-hmm. And I take that into my relationships. I take that in the way I raise my kids. I try to instill that with them as well, as like, listen, I know that you feel like everything is happening to you, right? And everything around you is happening for you, but that's just not the way the world works. Like, we're not even here for ourselves at the end of the day, right? And so, yeah, I pick up that piece of trash, and I always had this stupid thought. I was like, man, imagine we had 8 billion people just pick up one piece of trash a day. Mm-hmm. Like, what would that look like on a daily basis? And it's like, yeah, it's take care of the person around you. And the thing that I never want to be is I do not want to be a hindrance or and I don't always succeed in this area, a distraction to those around me. Mm-hmm. I want to be additive. I want people to want me to be there because I bring something to the table. Right? I want the feeling to be like, hey, Chase is here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't want to be announced at the same time. I just want to be a part of the solution. And to be even in a position, like working for CrossFit is so rewarding for me because now I get to be on the inside and a part of the solution. Right? I don't want, oh, hey, I work for CrossFit. How cool am I because I do that? I was like, no, I don't even need that. Or same with broadcast. Like, if they would never put me on camera or put my name on the screen that I am the person who's talking, that'd be fine with me. I just love that I'm in a position to share how cool this is with those around me. So those opportunities are really important to me. And the main character syndrome is a big problem. And like digital marketing, social media is a massive contributor to that.
I think you're spot on, man. And I think Kobe had a really cool speech on this where he looks straight into the camera and he goes, you're not that important. Yeah. And like, at first you're like, what are you talking about, man? Yeah. And then you're like, well, you're actually spot on. Like, why can't we try to live more radical like Jesus? Why can't we just be of service? Why can't we humble ourselves to be like, it's actually okay to wash somebody else's feet, whether that's actually or whether that's a metaphor. And I think it took me a while to get to that, Chase. Like, I had the other syndrome for a while. Then I went through life.
Yeah, well, I think we all did.
Sure.
Right? We all did.
Sure. And then it became life's happening to me. I'm this victim. And then it graduated to life's happening for me. Whoa. Like, how lucky am I? And you start to shift your lenses towards gratitude a little bit. And what I would say is that loss changes your operating system.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say just emotionally. I would say like physiologically. Like I think for a few years, like I was trying to fill the hole of like, wow, this man that unconditionally loved me and believed in me and my greatest expression and saw all the peaks and valleys of my formative years to try to pursue this thing that I really cared about is now gone. If I screw everything up, that safety net is now gone. I have to figure it out now. And there's a pressure that comes with that as a man, as a human. And so I'm curious for you, Chase, like how did losing your father alter the way that you think, alter your ambitions, alter your masculinity, the pressure, the gratitude, and shift your headspace towards what actually matters?
There's two things. One is personally, one is my faith. And so I'll start with the personally is like my dad is just like the hardest working, strongest person I ever met in my life. And he was always in my corner no matter what. Even if I didn't think I deserved it or that I earned it, I know he would always be there. I think Steve Harvey said this, is that after your dad dies, he's the last person in your life that wants you to be better than him.
Yeah.
Right? And so my dad spent his entire life trying to set me up for that. And so he tried to teach me how to weather storms. And in that avenue of that is that he made me learn how to be resilient by making me go through tough things too. My dad had a very high bar. And he kept it up there. He did not lower it based off how I was feeling today or if I was never going to achieve that. And the process of that allowed me to develop the strength and the resilience to weather storms that I could do myself. After my dad passed, and during the time of him being sick and just watching this disease basically take his life away out of his control, is that I really started leaning into my faith a lot too, because I cannot weather all storms. There's only one person that can weather all storms, and that's Jesus. And so I leaned on him to help weather the storms I couldn't do on my own. And I did that more in a sense of, I would say, like humility, in a sense like, look, I can't do this all on my own, no matter how hard I want to try. Is like, yeah, there are some things that I just can't do, and I do need to lean on that. And a quote that I have really sat on since my dad passed and during this process is like, I'm so grateful for the sadness that brought me closer to Jesus than the happiness that took me further away from him. And a lot of times we measure our life as like, well, did this bring me joy? Does this make me happy? Does this make me feel important? It's like, yeah, it could be, but like, is that the end all be all? Like, but at what cost? Right? Like sometimes, I'm not perfect. I've made massive mistakes that maybe in the time it felt like, oh, that was satisfying, or that was enjoyable, or I enjoy like that. That made me happy. It was all temporary, especially if it was in a negative light, right? And so, yeah, losing my dad is the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. I'm still going through it on a daily basis. But man, it has never brought me closer to a relationship with Jesus, and now that I get to share that with my kids, right? And that's a piece of the puzzle that it really changed. And it was like this year in January is when my kids started asking me about him, and I was like, all right, time to be the man of the house. I haven't done this since our relationship started. It was like, hey, it's time to start going to church again, or for the first time as a family, and that's been really special and really important to me in so many ways that I never thought, and I'm just scratching the surface of it. And so, yeah, losing my dad, we had a celebration of life this weekend, actually, in San Antonio. And my mom asked me to close it out, which was a heavy thing, but was really cool is that we were talking earlier, and the conversations you got to have with your dad are so cool that you had that opportunity. Like, I didn't get the same thing with my dad. He had a brain disease that just basically took everything away, right? So I couldn't have those conversations. But every once in a while, brain being the weird thing, is all those wires would connect again, and he would call me. First thing he would do, he's like, hey, I'm back for an hour, maybe. Who knew? He would call me first, which was super cool. And what I would try to do is every chance I got is I would try to tell him, I was like, you did the best job. You were the best dad I could have ever asked for. There's nothing I hold negative. There's no regrets. Like you were the best dad I could have ever asked for. And I just want to let you know is that I'm okay. And I think every father wants that for their kids, is that I want to make sure I set my son up for success to be able to weather any storm that he can handle himself, or give him the tools to do that with things like, going to church and getting a relationship with Jesus. Same thing with my daughter. And so any opportunity I had with my dad in the last few months was to let him know that. Well, fast forward to this past weekend, and my mom was talking about my dad. And it was a 5-10 minute just, hey, who is Corky? Which is, my dad. And half the stuff I didn't even know, which was really cool. But one of the biggest things is, like, he came from such a broken, hard childhood, no father figure in his life. The only one that was there was not one that you would want in your corner. And he had dedicated his life after that to make sure he could break a generational curse. Right? I will not be my father's son, kind of a deal, right? And so I didn't know most of that. And a friend of mine pointed this out after I spoke. He's like, think about everything that your dad wanted to accomplish in his life because of his upbringing, and think about everything that you affirmed to him when you could during the last couple of months of his life. And like, what a cool, and I didn't even know that, but what an amazing opportunity to be like, hey, Dad, guess what? Everything you feared that you couldn't do and worked your entire life to make sure you could, you did. I'm telling you this as your son. You're the best dad I could have ever asked for, and I'm set for the rest of my life because of you. And what a cool little thing that was to learn this weekend. And I had mentioned this in my toast to my dad, is that grief is the price we pay for love. And so however hard this is, or however sad it is, and however you feel about it in a sense of loss and misunderstanding or anger, is like, that's how much love you had for this man. So what a privilege it was to have that while he did. And I want for nothing. I got so many great opportunities in the worst 3 months of his life, but we had so many core memories that we got to spend together because of that finality, knowing that the end is there. It was very special. And rarely do I ever get to be able to talk about this without completely breaking down. And I think that's another at peace thing that I have. Maybe on a different day, I would have a harder time getting through it. But after going through what we did this weekend and just seeing what an incredible impact my father had on just friends of mine. I'm biased as a son. This is the greatest man I ever knew in my life. I had so many of my friends that he either coached when we were kids, or were neighborhood friends or high school buddies, that affirmed that. Is like, hey, your dad had a massive impact on my life. So it was really cool to get some of that affirmation of, oh, I'm not just biased because this is my dad. This is really who he was. He's everything that I thought he was and more. And that was a really cool thing to discuss with friends and family over this weekend.
This episode is supported by Allsmith Apparel. And honestly, this isn't just merch. It's a reminder that growth is forged, not found. That discipline is care. That consistency is freedom. That community is medicine. We created Allsmith for the people chasing something deeper than just aesthetics. People building businesses, healing, starting over, showing up tired, but showing up anyway. People truly seeking edges. When you wear Allsmith, you're not just wearing a logo. You're wearing a mindset, a conversation starter, a flag for people who believe movement, mindset, adversity, and intentional living can help shape a beautiful life. We are Allsmiths. Check out our latest apparel drops and our Allsmith apparel at allsmith.co. And thank you for helping us build this thing together.
That's beautiful, man. I really appreciate you sharing. Like, it sounds like he was such an awesome human, and I think part of the reason why you're not breaking down is because you're speaking to somebody that gets it. right? Like I felt like my father was a superhero. I felt like he believed in me more than anyone else. And the sacrifice that he put in and the different ideologies that he instilled in myself, my brother, and my sister, like they continue to live on. And we have a little group text, and it's like little memories pop into our headspace here and there. And I don't know, my dad always used to say, "Get it done." And I hated it as a kid. But it was always just like, hey, no matter the circumstances, like you committed to the job, get the job done, go do the thing, figure it out. And figure it out was like a big part of our upbringing, our childhood. And just for a funny closing the loop, cathartic moment to share with you, my brother was 3.5 years older than me, and I challenged him to one-on-one tackle football, Chase. Not smart when you're 9 and he's just going through puberty. And awesome. We had, some ivy and some random sprinklers around the house, and ready, set, I-88, hike. I take the ball and I'm like trying to juke him and do the thing. And this motherfucker kept tackling me on the same sprinkler, man. Oh, no. And so my back's getting eaten up, but I'm like, I'm not going to show him that I'm going to cry. I'm going to keep being tough. I'm keep being tough. After 4 times getting like just destroyed by this guy that's like 3 times my size, I run inside and I'm like, Dad, my brother's name is Jeff. I was like, Jeff keeps tackling me on the sprinkler. He looks at me and he goes, did you decide you wanted to play with him? Did you challenge him? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, cool, go solve your own problem. Go figure it out. And in that moment, I was pissed, man. I hated him. Both of them were the enemy. And I just remember, like, every time I said hike, I was running through the both of them. And I got my ass kicked in football that day. But I do remember there was a cognition that unlocked, which is no matter what happens, you can figure it out. The outcome may not be the score of the game that you desire or the time in the workout or the weight lifted. But when you decide something and there's a certain level of consequences that come with that, you can figure that out. And that, to me, unlocked a level of confidence that I hope to pass forward to clients, to friends, to family, and eventually to children one day. How do you relate to that now, instilling that value system into your kids?
Dude, I got picked on a lot. We moved around a bit when I was younger. It was just Dad's job. So it was like kinder was one state, first is another, second is another, third is another, until we settled down a little bit. Sure. So I was always the new kid. So I had to learn how to make friends fast and not cause so many problems because I was the new kid. So I remember
you're like Smalls from The Sandlot.
Yeah, and I was a small kid. And so I remember getting picked on hard in first grade. And so I went to my dad because my dad could solve all my problems, or at least that's what I thought. And so I remember vividly, there's a couple things. I remember vividly going to him. It's like, hey, Dad, all these kids are picking on me. And the first thing he said, and it totally caught me off guard, he goes, well, what do you want me to do about it? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're my dad, like fix my problems. He's like, so you want me to go to the school and beat up a bunch of 8-year-olds? I was like, well, no. He's like, or do you want me to tell you what I would do? I was like, and that was it. He's like, this is what I would do. This is how you can help. He would give me the tools. He wouldn't do the job for me. And as a father, I want to try to do the same thing for my kids, but I will say it's so hard. It's so hard to let them do the job for themselves, knowing you could do it better, do it quicker, and solve all their problems. But once you take that out of their hands, they have nothing to fall back on their own. Because you're not going to be there forever.
You're doing them a disservice if you do that. And later on in life, they're going to want to rely on you, and you won't be there.
And you want to be there, right? My kids are slowly getting to the age where I can't solve all their problems for them. It's a cool thing when it's like, because what are their problems when they're little? It's like, I'm hungry. It's like, I can solve that. This hurts. I can fix that. I'm this, whatever. Like their problems are so small and they're so easy to fix, and you feel like you're doing them a great service of solving all their problems and making sure they have no strife and no stress and no pain, and they're always happy. It's a tough thing to step away from sometimes. Like, no, I need to let my kid fall. I need to let my kid fail. I need to let him get sad. I need to let him get hurt. I need to let him get embarrassed. I need to let him fail. I would say that is probably the hardest thing of parenting that I have stumbled on that I wasn't prepared for, is allowing my kids to fail, cry, get hurt, because they do need to learn that on their own. Because if I do solve all their problems, I basically handicap them for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. Like, what solution is going to be there? So my dad did such an amazing job of both being there for me when I truly needed it, when I couldn't solve my own problems, or giving me the tools and the confidence from him that I could solve my own problems. So sports was a big thing. I was always the smallest kid in the class. I mean, now I'm not, but I grew really late. He's like, listen, you're the smallest, slowest, weakest kid in the school. If you want to make the basketball team, you have to be the hardest working, and everybody has to know that you are that kid.
Rudy.
That's your only chance. Yeah, Rudy that really resonated with me in a sense. And so getting that work ethic was developed because of he's like, hey, this is what I want. I want to make the basketball team in middle school. He's like, well, this is the only way it's going to happen. I want to be on the football team. I want to play. I want to do that. He's like, here's what you need to do. Here's the playbook. You have to go execute it. I cannot do this for you. I will be there to support you along the way. I will help point you in the right direction. I will coach you. I will pump you up, but I will not do the work for you, because the only one who can do it is you, because I will not always be there for you. And that's not necessarily like in life. Yeah, it is now. But he's like, I can't go to school for you and shoot the free throws for you. Right? And so that was a really cool thing, and I really try to do that for my kids. But most importantly, and this is what my dad did so well of, is that he did it by example. So whatever he told me to do, I could watch him do that in his daily life. Whatever it was, watching how hard he worked for the family, watching him interact with his friends, watching him do what he told me to do when it was his time to do it, is another piece of the puzzle that was very, I would say, influential for me. And I hope to do the same things for my kids, because my biggest fear is that I ever let them down by doing something that I said I would and didn't do, or wasn't the person that they thought I was. And that's a big fear, of letting your kids down. Yeah, for sure.
It's so cathartic and cool that you're willing to get vulnerable and share these things, because people forget what you say, they'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. And it sounds to me that like your kids are in a season now where they're really observing mom and dad. You could tell them to do all kinds of things, and maybe they'll execute-ish.
Not my daughter.
but
my son will. He's still afraid of me. He'll
sure. But they're watching you. Oh, well, why should I eat clean if you're not eating clean? If you're having this snack, why can't I have this snack? And you see it time and time again. But if you're exemplifying it, it's like they're like, well, if Dad's this cool and he's this strong and he's this fat, I kind of want to do what Dad's doing. That's cool. I'll try that too.
They do that a little bit. I've never pushed them to work out, but they'll see me work out in the garage, and then they'll be like, hey, Dad, we're going to go work out in the garage. I'm like, cool, have fun. I'll pop in there and see what they're doing, high five them, congratulate them on doing their own thing. I will say the best thing that, I don't want to say the best, a part that I enjoy the most is letting them know when I'm wrong.
Oh, that's cool.
That has really opened up a relationship with, it's not Dad's always right? Do it or else, or do it because I said so. I say that for sure a lot, but my kids are comfortable enough to call me out when I do something wrong. Either it's something that I say or something that I do, words that we don't really use in the house, knowing that other people can, and that's totally fine. But if I say, like, we don't say yeah, which sounds really simple. We say yes. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Thank you, not thanks. Those kind of things. So if I ever do that, my son or my daughter will be like, Dad, it's like, you're right. And so creating that, I want to be able to create communication lines early so that later they feel like they can trust me with most things. They're going to not tell me everything. I get that. But I want them to feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, Dad, that bothered me. The thing that I am the most proud of my son is when he'll come to me and tell me how I made him feel.
That's cool. That's hard to do at a young age.
It's wild. It's hard to do. Man, that shit is hard to hear.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad. And say it's like coaching, and I just get on him. Right? He's like, hey, Dad, when you said that to me, it really made me feel sad. And, bro, you want to talk about like a crushing blow as a father? Right? You think your dad saying like, hey, I'm disappointed in you was tough when you were little? Yeah. Having your son say that you like hurt their feelings or made them feel a certain way in a negative, that is, but like the fact that my son feels so comfortable with me to be able to share that with me it's a weird point of pride. And I'll tell him, I was like, hey, listen, I'll always tell him when I'm wrong. It's like, hey, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be perfect. Dad makes mistakes sometimes too, and I think that creates a good trust with the kids. It's like, you're right. I'm really sorry that I did that, and I will try my best to do better when it comes to that. And so he feels a sense of, and my daughter is the same way, is they feel a sense of gratification and affirmation to their feelings, for one, and a comfortability of sharing that thing with my dad and then building that trust between them. And it sounds silly between 8 and 6 when we're talking about a soccer game, right? But it's those little things that grow into bigger things later in life that I hope we keep as we both grow.
This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Bubs Naturals. Look, wellness can get noisy. There's tons of conflicting information out there. A million supplements, a million opinions. But what I truly appreciate about Bubs is that they keep things simple. Hydration, collagen, and creatine. Real tools that support real people trying to perform better, recover better, and simply show up better for their life. I use their products consistently, whether it's hydration after training, collagen to support recovery, or creatine for performance, strength, brain health, and longevity. These are staples in my routine. But what I really respect is the mission behind the brand. Bubs truly honors legacy, adventure, service, and living life fully. If you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, a parent, a weekend warrior, or somebody truly trying to feel a little bit more human in your body, give them a look. Use code ALLSMITH to support your wellness, your journey, and support what we're building here with the AllSmith podcast. Because feeling better isn't just about vanity, it's about capacity. And capacity changes lives. Make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Yeah, that's a beautiful lesson, man. I mean, that's an example of like where whispers can eventually become shouts, allowing their feelings to have merit. But more importantly, what I'm hearing, Chase, is that words and communication are an approximation of what we're trying to convey. So creating specificity around language, yes, sir, no, ma'am, not just like the nuance of like what can be a hybrid or maybe like a softening of the verbiage where it feels cool or, you know, is a little bit easier into the nuance of day-to-day life. It's like being very specific with your language. So that way, when it does come time to share about your feelings or you're giving direction or you're in a space of leadership or you're writing a very important email, you realize the language matters. And being able to do so allows them to curate a communicative strategy that puts them in a different level, in my opinion. Because so many people say things and it's almost like hieroglyphics where it becomes art, where you and I can both look at this painting and it's like, well, I see this. And you're like, well, bro, I see this.
Yeah.
And like, then it leaves the terminology up to interpretation. And, you know, to make this full circle, I mean, that's what's beautiful about CrossFit a little bit. Like I can say squat and it's like, we know like ass to grass, like if there was a marble on the knee, it should travel down to the hip pocket. The hip crease should be below parallel. We stand up, not just to knee extension, but hip extension with the shoulder, hip, knee, and ankle in one line, the head in neutral with the feet shoulder width apart. Like you and I can define that right away because of the beauty of the language architecture associated with Greg Glassman and CrossFit. But I could go to some gyms in the world and I could say squat, and it's like, you know, they might do a knee bend. They might go somewhere to depth, which may or may not be good for their physiology. They might have a fuck ton of weight. They might have minimal weight, and they might stand up to like minimal full extension, and there's not really a defined term. And Jordan Peterson does that a lot. There's this show, I don't know if you've checked it out. It's around like debate. It's called Surrounded. And it's like one thought leader in the middle, and then all these people that typically go against their ideologies or the things that they've talked about on podcasts. It's kind of interesting to see how they navigate it. Anyway, Jordan Peterson does a really good job of, hey, you just said happiness. How do you define happiness? Because to Chase, it might be being an awesome dad. It might be running his business, the freedom to wake up at 5 a.m., unlock all these freedoms based on his fitness. To Bryce, it might be, hey, he just got married. Like he's pursuing having kids. Like he wants to adventure. Like the definition of happiness could be different based on the seasons of life. And so I think really defining those terms and going into the weeds creates a communicative strategy that then creates alignment between two individuals.
Well, it also creates a structure.
Yes.
And that's why, like you said, defining your terms is one of the cornerstones of CrossFit, because we have defined what fitness is, and all of our terms have definitions to them. There's no interpretation. It is what it is. The same thing can be said about setting expectations for those around you. Setting expectations for my kids of how I want them to behave in public, how I want them to treat other people. I mean, I talked about the language that we use. That's just for us. Anyone around me can say whatever they want, and they will not be judged on that. I'm just giving my kids a little bit of a structure, albeit potentially strict when it comes to that. But it's so far beyond just the language that we use. It's the intention of how we use it. And it's also like, hey, these are the set rules we have in the house. We do not waver. We can miss, and we will recognize that, and then we'll move on to the next one. And I think that's where the lesson really is. It's not about the language that we use. It's why we have the language in place. And it just sets the tone for everything that we do from there. And so that's a big part of it. And I think when in terms of CrossFit and it's defining its terms, it's like, yeah, listen, it's really easy when I just say, hey, here's the structure of the way this is going to go. When we squat, this is the rules of the game. This is how we hold our standards. And then holding that standard is another thing. Just like being with your kids, like holding standard as a coach is so key and crucial to the relationship between the coach and the athlete, right? Making sure it's like, hey, listen, I'm going to hold you to the standard, and I'm going to hold myself to the same standard. And we create that trust where it allows me to coach you and you let me in, right, to be able to help you get better. And it's all the same in just little different ways that I really love. And I don't know if that's all coming back to CrossFit and the competition floor on your own personal accountability, but I think it is. I think it's the little pebble at the top of the hill, right, that rolls into a giant snowball.
Yeah.
Right? And it seems so small and so, what's the big deal? It's like, no, I don't like the phrase, how you do anything is how you do everything, because I feel like there's always room for gray, right? Like, okay, I made that mistake. Does that mean I'm just like a terrible person? Like, no, I fucked that up and I recognize that. So like, yeah, that one thing I did, but that's not who I am. And that goes to what we talked about earlier, is like my failures do not define who I am. The one thing I did is not everything that I do. And being able to acknowledge it, move on from it, and then go and learn from it, I think is the key thing. And everyone needs to be able to put themselves in those positions to learn who they are, how they operate, how they don't want to operate, and how those feel about it around them when it comes to those relationships we have. Like, it's all relationships. Yeah. All communication, like you said.
I want to jump into broadcasting, man. I admire what you're doing. I think podcasting, broadcasting, having public conversation seemingly is one of the number one fears in the world for so many people. But so many people, they hear the final product, Chase. They rarely see the scratch, the chicken scratch on notebooks. They don't always see the athlete research, the statistics, the production meetings, the storyline, trying to get audio right, trying to get lighting right, the film study. You're traveling and it's like, bro, I got in at 2 a.m. I feel like shit, and I now need to do this ad read for this product. And just, there's so much pressure, and there's split-second decisions when you've got this thing in your ear and, there's a change. Hey, this athlete got injured. They're off the floor. Let's talk about it this way instead of this way. Walk us through what actually goes into becoming elite at calling competition, because there's a lot of moving parts that I see, but I don't know if everybody sees that.
There is a lot of moving parts, and you see it now more than ever. Is that the nice thing is that in 2012 we all had a lot of room to be bad, and I think the hard part for new people getting in the space is that there's such an expectation of what it should be, is that people don't really get as much freedom to fail in that scenario, that it needs to be great, and if they're bad, then they should never try again. And in the early days, it was terrible. We were so bad. I was personally so bad, and I was so shocked. I actually am still thankful and surprised every time I get a call back to come and do anything. But the level of production that goes into the highest level, say the CrossFit Games, an open announcement or a semifinal announcement, there's so many people that their sole job is to bring. There's one person's whole job is to just run graphics for the show, or to make sure that the white balance is great on screen, or that all the cameramen are doing what they're supposed to do, or we're pulling in the right graph, all that. And I didn't have to worry about that stuff. But what I need to make sure is that, say if I'm a color analyst, is I need to know who every single one of these people are, how they got there, what their history with the sport is, what their history with particular movements could be. But that to me isn't really a job, because I just love watching it so much and I'm entertained by it. No different than, say, watching the NFL or watching basketball. That's just enjoyment to me. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and technically I spend a lot of time doing it, but at the same time, it's not really work for me, because it's entertainment to me just as it is for anybody else. And so I want to say I'm a fan first, but I don't broadcast like a fan. I definitely don't broadcast like a fan, because I can be very honest with my opinion on how And then in the booth, it's quite an incredible experience, because you can hear yourself just like you would on a podcast. You can hear the person that you're sitting in the booth with. Then you have a producer and a director in your ear at different times, and then maybe a sideline reporter. Yeah. There's all these things going on at the same time, and you just have to be able to go with the flow, and it just takes practice and time, and when it comes to that. And we have production meetings every single day before the event goes on. We sit and talk about how we think the event's going to go, who we think is going to do well, and it's all going to change once the event starts, and just being able to roll with it is another thing. And the other one that people I think are surprised about is that if you're watching from home, it's really easy to have that conversation, right? You and me could be sitting on a couch and just armchair broadcast as we see things happening. But when you're in the booth, is that you're at the mercy of the TV screen in front of you. We watch what you watch in real time.
Yep.
We're not just watching what we want to and talking about what we want to talk about. The producers and directors hey, we're going to lane 7, we're coming to lane 6, this just happened, and you just have to see it come and react naturally. And what I enjoy the most of is that being in it just as much as anybody else would, just watching from the stands or watching from their couch. That's what I'm there for. And when I'm doing it, I actually had this conversation with Tyler Watkins, who was broadcasting Syndicate this week, and Barbell Spin, they did a fantastic job, is I love this so much, and it is so fun for me, and I want to make sure that anybody watching knows how cool this is, how hard this is, how incredible these people are, how big the moment is. And I want them to feel it in a sense of I'm not talking at them, but you're almost just in their subconscious. Yeah, they might hear it, but I don't want them to think, this is why I don't want names on the screen, or I don't want to come on cameras. It's not about that. It's I've been in a position I've been on seminar staff for 7 years. I've owned my own affiliate for a decade. I've ran one for 5 more. I've been in the competition scene for a cup of coffee at most. I've coached teams. I've picked teams. I've followed individuals ever since 2008. I've poured everything into this. So I feel like I have a good sense of the moment, and I want other people to be able to be in that moment with me. And that's what I take to broadcasting. And at the end of the weekend, man, it is an emotional dump.
Yeah.
I feel like an exposed nerve for 4 days at the CrossFit Games. And once it's over, it's just, it all comes down. And usually I'm sitting at dinner. I don't know how the broadcasters, the MCs talk at dinner. after a whole day of it. Usually I'm just sitting there quiet and people think something's wrong with me because I'm usually so talkative and outgoing. But man, those dinners post every day, it's like I just need to sit here and just recollect my thoughts, because it's just been this constant flow from beginning to end, and that's just on a daily basis. So there's a lot that goes into it. That's at the major high level, because they can afford to put all that into it. But at the same time, it's like, as long as people are putting passion into it for what's happening on the competition floor, for the athletes that have spent years of their lives, I mean, this has dedicated everything for this moment, and you give them that light and that opportunity to be recognized, they have to earn it, obviously. You can't just like pat them on the butt just to pat them on the butt. At least that's my stance on it.
Totally.
It is a privilege, and I've said that before, but it's such a cool position to be in. I'm so thankful for every opportunity that I get, and I truly am, and it's never, I deserve to be there because I'm doing it this long. It's like, no, that's not how it works, right? This isn't seniority, and I just get to be there because I've been around. It's a meritocracy. It's like, are you the best at what you do? Then you should get the opportunity, and if you're not, then you either get better or they'll find someone better. Yep. And that's sport.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I love sports. Is like, what are you the best one for the job? All right.
Pete Carroll talked about that at USC back in the day, man. I mean, it was next man up. And I went to a high school, Taft High School, where, bro, we had so many Division I athletes come out of there, and I decided to go to that school for basketball. And I was like, it's funny because I have this picture in my garage now from our 2008 city championship, and everybody's like, "You're the only white guy," and I'm like, yeah, I know. I went to the same high school as Ice Cube and Eazy-E, but like I went there because it was just like I either wanted to figure it out or get left on the sideline. It's like some days you just had to show out and do the best that you could and ride the wave. And then other days it's like you're sitting on the sideline like picking your nose and you feel like you are just not good enough. But it's like if you want to make the rest of your life the best of your life, you're going to step up to the plate and try to compete. And I love that analogy when it comes to taking pride in your craft. Yeah. It's not comparative to other people. It's not ego. It's not anything other than I'm going to give my best to become the best that I'm capable of becoming, which is very much in alignment with John Wooden's definition of success. Success is peace of mind that you knew that you gave your best to become the best that you're capable of becoming. And I mean, I could sit here on the rest of the podcast and spit off John Wooden quotes because I have a man crush on that guy. But something that comes to mind, dude, is just that mastery is often invisible because people only witness the performance. They see people doing things on the competition field and they're like, oh, that's dope. That's so cool. But they don't see the preparation. And something that stands out to me is in my final year of competing and navigating the stuff when my dad was going through terminal cancer, Chase, I was like 0 of 1,700 on the handstand obstacle course. I could not figure out how to go up the stairs and down the freaking ramp numerous times. Like, it was the death of me. I had so many tantrums and rants and kicked that thing through that thing, cried around that thing. And I'm like, I thought I was a good athlete, but I seemingly can't figure this thing out. And then at regionals, somehow figured it out. I don't know where it came from. It was like my second attempt, stayed calm, figured it out. And like you said, it wasn't about me. It was about my teammates. It was about my dad, who was watching his final competition that he'd ever seen me compete in. And it's just interesting when you think about a higher power, you think about enrolling yourself in the process versus just being outcome oriented. But the narrative of the world, they love to celebrate the outcome, man. Oh yeah. But they don't see the process. And I'm curious your thoughts there, because I want to dive into your thoughts onto the future of CrossFit and fitness. And like, because I love seeing what you're doing. I love the Tommy Marquez's, the Buttery Bros. I've seen what's gone on behind the scenes with CrossFit and the shifting of sponsors and monetization and everything with Noble and Reebok and all this stuff. Like, I'm on the outside now, so I'm not seeing all the intricacies like you are, but I'm still a fanboy of like, can these guys please like make it over the hump and like survive? But I'm
But
also,
it's a different perspective, which is very, like, I would say is invaluable.
yeah,
Because it's the outside perspective that is driving where this goes.
sure. And like what I want to kind of poke holes in, or, you know, just get curious around is that, you know, when my mom passed and she kind of pushed me to be like, hey, Bryce, you have this song inside, go start this Allsmith thing. I took a leap of faith. I jumped into this ocean of wellness and fitness and mindset and storytelling and kind of cut the cord on CrossFit a little bit. And so I'm not as familiar as to what's going on in the weeds with it. And I'm curious, man, like if you could give, you know, an elevator pitch on what's going on with CrossFit. I just spoke with Haley Adams yesterday. She made the game. Super cool.
Yeah,
I saw that Danielle Brandon made it. Like I'm stoked for some of these OGs that were around when I was around, but I've also like just kind of taken a step back, and I'm curious your thoughts as to how to kind of communicate with our community around the beauty of the sport of fitness.
Well, you think about CrossFit at its grassroots, it's the methodology, right? The sport of fitness is a celebration of what's physically possible through CrossFit when you just pour all your heart and soul into the competitive standpoint. And it's our loudest mouthpiece when it comes to getting eyes on CrossFit as a whole. But as we know, is like the whole basis is just the constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity. That's CrossFit. It's a strength and conditioning program. It's a training methodology that is turned into a bit of a lifestyle. Yeah. Right? It's not something that we do. It's kind of a part of who we are in a sense. And that's how I've always felt about it since I really got into it back in 2008. And along the way, it's like, look, Greg led the way, and we had someone at the forefront, whether you liked the direction where he's going or what he was doing or how he approached it. There was still someone there that had the flag, and then the rest of us wanted to be the bannermen when it come to that. That's why people opened up affiliates, right? They wanted to have an impact on other people's lives in the same way that CrossFit had impacted ours. And that's been my thing since I started. And I've said this on multiple occasions ad nauseum, is that everything I have in my life is currently all due to the first day I walked into a CrossFit gym. Every single thing. Not one thing I have currently, kids, wife, job, anything, cannot be traced back to December 2008 doing Fran, which I scaled. And since then, is that everything I have positive into that is because of CrossFit. Because the opportunities that it gave me, the positions it put me in my life, whether it was I met my wife playing flag football because I was playing on a CrossFit team that we just decided to do in a local Dallas social league. Nice. That's how that happened. Nice. I have 2 beautiful kids because of that moment. Because I walked into a CrossFit gym, I started getting fit and I started competing, and I made the CrossFit Games. Well, because I made the CrossFit Games, I got Dave Cash's attention, who invited me to join the seminar staff team. Well, as on the seminar staff team, I joined the broadcast team because nobody else was, they were just getting started, and I was just a person that was available and made myself available, but I took advantage of the opportunity. I opened up my own CrossFit gym because I wanted to impact more people and give them more opportunities to have what I got from CrossFit. And it's not going to be, oh, I did CrossFit because I wanted to do all these things, but the things that it did for me in my life, I wanted other people to be able to experience. That has not changed. Just because Greg's not there, just because it's owned by private equity, the heart and soul and foundation of what CrossFit is has not changed, not once. There's a lot of imitators out there. There's a lot of detractors out there. There's a lot of noise out there, but that doesn't take away from the core values and principles of what CrossFit is. Lately, over the last, I would say 6 months to maybe a year, the media marketing team has done a good job of reminding people of what that was. Forge Elite Fitness, probably the best, cleanest, simplest 3 words to describe what CrossFit is. Right? We have to do hard things, working yourself through fire, forging of metals, elite, top of the top. And I don't mean sport, right? I want to be the most elite dad to pick up my son every day from school. That's my elite now, right? And then fitness is what we're all centered around. When we change that to health, happiness, and performance, how do you measure that? You just talked about it earlier. There is no definition of happiness. Why would we ever put that in the forefront of what CrossFit is? It's nothing to do with it, right? And so bringing Forge Elite Fitness back, not because it's trendy, it's because it's true. And so what people need to understand is that whatever they wanted it to be and felt like it's gone, it's always been there. But what I've seen over the last 6 to 8 months is that those that are in power to make these decisions for CrossFit internally have recognized the mistakes of the past and want to remedy those mistakes. not for lip service or campaigns or this sounds cool. No, this is the truth. It's the greatest thing the world has when it comes to health and fitness. There is nothing better. And we know that because everybody wants to pretend to be CrossFit, but they don't want to say it, right? Because they think they can either do it better or they think if they water it down, it'll get people into their gym in an easier way. And that's just not how it is. So now with a new CEO, with Bruce, who had been a part of CrossFit from 2013 to 2019 as a COO, in its peak heyday of Rise, well, people forget that Bruce was taken out of the Globo Gym by Greg Glassman when he started CrossFit. So no one has more institutional knowledge of how the first little fish that came out of the water that evolved into a lizard, whatever it is that you want to say. Bruce was a part of that. And then he was a part of CrossFit from the internal standpoint. Stepped out, and now he's back. So I'm very excited to see what Bruce has at the table. But in terms of like nuts and bolts in numbers, it's the best quarter CrossFit's had as a company in 4 years.
Yeah,
that's not an accident.
Yeah, there's definitely been some hard conversations that have taken place. I don't know Bruce firsthand, but I will say I appreciate that he was in it, stepped away, and came back, because that allows for nuance, shift of lenses, and more honesty and transparency. Where I'm curious with you is we touched briefly on anxiety. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that quite a bit from people, right? That like in my brain, everything that's measured doesn't always count, and everything that counts isn't always measured. And so I'll just use an easy example like Draymond Green from the Warriors. His statistics aren't unreal. But without Draymond, are the Warriors the Warriors? The answer is probably no. He brings an intangible within the locker room. It's not really measurable. He sets great screens. He hypes up Steph. He protected Steph and Clay in the midst of other guys trying to foul him hard or do certain things. There's something that he brought to the table that was like, if you have an ingredient without salt, you're like, what the fuck? This ingredient's missing something. And so from my observation, what kind of pushed me a little bit away from CrossFit was the question became less about, hey, Bryce, how did that feel? How was that workout? Like, how's that impacting your life and your specific goals? And became, what was your time? How much did you lift? And it became, as Jordan Peterson would say, a social hierarchy. Oh, because I beat you in this workout and I have more social media followers than you, now I've got a blue check mark on my forehead and I'm better than you, and you should just go probably train in the corner because that's my pull-up bar. That's not yours. and I'm not saying that that's everywhere. It just happened to be within the environment that I was in, where it was like when I was competing and I was going to the games, it's like I got preference. I got treated a certain way. When I cognizantly made the decision of like, okay, like I'm going to move on to this next chapter of my life, I was like, that's cool. You're just chopped liver now. Like, get out of our way and go coach your clients and scoot to the side. Yeah. And I think a lot of people feel that at CrossFit gyms who I've spoken to, is that like the sport became numero uno because it monetized. And it became more about like attention being the highest form of currency rather than effort, rather than community, which is what brought us there in the first place. And so I'm curious your thoughts. Like, I'm not owned by any of those ideologies. I simply notice them now. And I'm like, okay, like what was so dope early on was exactly what you said. Like, wow, this methodology is badass. This allows you the freedom to do what you want, when you want, how you want. And then we can do it collectively, where you could have one person trying to make the CrossFit Games, one person that's a mom of 3, and one person that needs to hit the workout before they go hit their next Zoom call at a coffee shop. But collectively, in that hour of time, it's like, let's give our best effort. Let's have some fun. Let's throw down, and then let's get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
But that social hierarchy, and that you mentioned the term scale. Some gyms started to use the term customize. Scaling and all these words became like offensive. Oh, all of a sudden you scaled, you're less than. It's like, no, my goals are just different. I still put my pants on the same way you do. And so I'm curious your thoughts on how some of these things created some divisiveness within the community.
Well, I would say that speaks to the varies by degree and not kind from the level one, is that we are all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the thing that I loved about CrossFit is that CrossFit was the great equalizer. There was no social status. Right? You couldn't bring in your outside resume and have that matter on the gym floor. Is that fitness is the great equalizer across the board. But at the same time, beyond that, is that effort is more than that. I say the same things to my kids, and I make sure they know this. Every opportunity that we have, we're going to play a game. They had their first swim meet last night. I was a swimmer, right? And so I tell them, it's like, do I care that you win? And like, no. It's like, you're right. What do I care about? It's like that we work as hard as we could, right? We give our best effort. We celebrate effort, not results. Results cannot be, it's not a one-to-one, especially in a competition setting, where I put in the best effort, therefore I won. And I try to make sure that they know that. And I would do the same thing with clients all the time. We would put everybody's name on the board, how they scaled the workout, and what their times and reps were. Not as a leaderboard, so that people understood what they were walking into. Because the 6 p.m. class looks like the 6 a.m. class, and all they look is the time. It's like, wow, Bryce beat me again. I was like, yeah. That time is faster than your time. But Bryce was being a big pussy this morning, and his effort did not match what your effort was. And so to make sure that people understood that was a big part of me as that I took as a gym owner, I took as a coach, and now I take as a father, is understanding is like, we need to celebrate how we got here and what this meant. Because just because you're a CEO at a Fortune 500 company and you can't do push-ups in the gym next to the mom of 3 who's just knocking them out, right? Like, what is are you measuring your worth in that? It's like, no, because she's really good at that. You're not, but you're giving your best effort to try to get your first one, and she's knocking them out, and you're both doing the same thing in different ways. And for people to understand what that is and what that means, sport doesn't always allow us to do that, because sport at the end of the day is who won, how do they rank on a leaderboard. That's sport. We cannot bring sport into the gym. Right? The thing I love about sport in the CrossFit Games is that we celebrate. We can all sit around and watch the CrossFit Games and know what that feels like. And that was the big community driver of why the CrossFit Games is so fun to watch as people who do CrossFit. That I've experienced that feeling before. So I have more of an emotional connection with the athletes on the competition floor. That's what the connection was. And I don't like when people bring up the idea that we should separate the two. We just need to do a better job of melding the two, or people understanding the two. The reason why sport's so fun to watch is because you know what that feels like. You do not get the same, I mean, you might with basketball because you played the sport. You have a different connection when you watch that, but you probably don't have the same connection when you watch football.
100%.
Right? I watch football for pure entertainment, but I don't know what it's like to get hit like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Or to get hurt on the field, or what it's like to play in the cold, or what it's like to be in the huddle or I don't know that, but I know what it's like to give a best effort on the Echo bike. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't do 50 cals in 50 seconds, but we probably felt the same afterwards, so you have that connection. So I think people, and that goes for gym owners and coaches and managers and people that show up to the gym, there needs to be a better understanding of what we're all doing and why. And I feel like we have lost that a little bit along the way. And that's either a product of bringing a results-oriented competitiveness to the program, or too much crap in the class that you don't even have time to coach, to cue, to curate community.
Dude, you're so fucking smart. Like, man, you've got a good lens on the wellness fitness space. Like, I can feel it. And I agree with you. Like, I was just having this conversation yesterday around simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Like, a black tea always works.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, I'm at a disadvantage because I've got 2 dogs with light hair, so I just have dog hair on me all the freaking time. But like, the point that I'm making there is just like, if you push, if you pull, if you hinge, if you squat, if you carry things and then you introduce monostructural things, you're going to be a pretty fit individual. Holy shit, that's CrossFit. And then you get to pick and choose how you play with constant variety and mixed modal domains and different energy systems and how that fits within a week. And obviously, CrossFit gyms do a great job of trying to program those things where there's variance across Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then integrating that Sunday rest day where it's like connect with people. I mean, that's the thing that very first, I've said this to CJ from Invictus numerous times, the thing that attracted me to Invictus was not the program design. It was the fact that on Sunday, they're like, disconnect. Go have friend opportunities. Go have a great meal. Go get outside and connect with nature. Go do this. Go do that. Go do the other. Get outside of the four walls of the gym. And at that point, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm coming from basketball. Like, I'm used to training 6 hours a day. The gym is everything. You're telling me to get out of the gym? That's when I learned the phrase working in versus working out. And I think a lot of people are so married to just results and outcomes and what do I look like? I train for vanity and sanity. Like, me and Pat had a great conversation on that around, how so many people are training for functional bodybuilding and, Dave Lipson's program and Marcus Philly's program and functional bodybuilding this and everybody wanting to flex this and look this way in the gym. At the end of the day, it's like the goal is what you said at the very beginning of our conversation today, which is the freedom to do what you want, when you want, how you want. Mm-hmm. But what I'm curious about with you, going back to that original comment, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. In my opinion, CrossFit started to, quote unquote, evolve. And they started to add too much complexity. Handstand walking on parallel bars and backward uprises and, pullovers and things that felt very, if I were to go to the park, I couldn't really emulate them as much as I could emulate a burpee broad jump or pushing a sled or a sandbag on my back. And I think High Rocks saw that. And they said, you know what? CrossFit is getting lost in the sauce, trying to create too much constant variety. We're going to do the simple shit. Most people don't want Olympic weightlift. Most people don't want gymnastics. They want things that are like easy to access. And so now High Rocks jumps in, and then you've got like Performance 360. You've got the Yard. You've got F45. And I could pick apart all of those. I'm not trying to be mean in saying this. I'm just noticing that, like, especially as you get older, like, I don't want to clean and jerk 275 in a workout anymore.
Right.
I don't want to do ring muscle ups all the time, but I'm totally fine being like, hey, I'll do strict ring pull-ups. Like, I'll do clean pulls, or I'll do some sort of kettlebell swing for violent hip extension. But I think High Rocks saw the psychology of what was going on with the masses, and the masses being the people that were like going to run clubs. And they're like, oh, let's capitalize on this market of people that don't really want the skill, but they want the community and they want the body composition. They want the feeling. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if I gave everybody what they want, they'd be doing TRT and GLP-1s.
That's 100% fact.
I think we need to focus on needs, and that's what we were really doing. And wants and needs is something I work with my kids at all the time. They're like, Dad, I want that so bad. Or I need that. I'm like, no, you want that, right? There's a big difference between what you want and what you need. And the coach's job is to disseminate the two and to be able to articulate to the athlete. And so when you think about these complex movements that you're rattling off, is that, that's a CrossFit Games thing. And I think too many times you'll see inexperienced coaches, programmers, and owners thinking that's what CrossFit is. It's the other way around. It's a one-way street. What we do here can be perfected and built upon up there at the sport level. Stop bringing that into the CrossFit. Now, should we experiment? Yeah. We've gone away for the days. It's like, when was the last time anybody did a Turkish get-up in a group class? Well, why? It's like, well, it's because it's complex, it's challenging, somewhat boring. Right? It's like, but it used to be the lab. That's what the gym floor used to be. We would give ourselves time, and this is where I see the biggest problem with gyms and their programming and what they lack. And the biggest thing I see the lack of is time to coach. because we think about High Rocks, F45, Orange Theory, all these other things where it's just, here's 45 minutes of stuff. We're just going to move and entertain you with lights and music and just be a bunch of lifeguards.
I think that's the word right there, though. People became less coachable and in pursuit of entertainment because simple fucking works. You know that. I know that. Yeah. But it's like when you get Joe Schmo that's like, hey, I'm on this new journey. Oh, this is super fun. This is super cool. And then after 3 months, they're like, the playlist is kind of the same. The workout's kind of the same. This is dumb. This is stupid. But I loved what you said around the gym floor being the lab. You have to surrender to the experience of learning new things. And in the beginning, guess what? It doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable. You have that feeling of inadequacy. But then as you learn, you unlock this level of yourself, whether that's in the dating experience, the business experience, fashion, fitness, faith, whatever it is. It unlocks this level of curiosity, which brings us back to what your children are going through right now, which is the life of, hey, you want to screw around the sandbox for a little bit? Yeah. You want to build something cool? But as adults, we get so fixed, man. Like we're at these desks and we're like, oh, this is how we're supposed to be. We're in pursuit of comfort. And like Michael Easter said it best, it's a fucking comfort crisis. And as a byproduct, people don't want to learn new things. And then when you introduce new things, it's like, oh, that's the weird coach. That's the weird gym. I'm not going to go do that. But it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Just stay for 60 to 90 days, and it's going to unlock this reservoir of potential for you.
And that's where I want people to get back to is that, the workout of the day was 10 to 15 minutes on average. So what do you do for the other 45 minutes? Do I need to bore you, or do I need to distract you with strength, Metcon skill? It's like, or do I take the time to separate myself from everybody else? And this is where this isn't CrossFit's doing. CrossFit needs to push this a little bit more and understand why we all had strong communities to begin with, because we had time to connect. We gave ourselves time to coach, time to cue, time to build relationships, because it wasn't, hey guys, we got to smash all this shit in an hour. Go get a barbell. The warm-up's written on the board. Go. Like, that wasn't what it used to be. It's like, come to the whiteboard. Let me show you what the workout is. Not write down what the warm-up is. I'm going to tell you what the warm-up is. We're going to take the time to learn a progression for the pull-up, not just do 10 pull-ups on the pull-up bar and you've never done it before. We gave ourselves opportunity to connect, to coach, to cue, not distract ourselves with so much volume and so much crap because you want that. I don't give a shit what you want. What my job is as a coach and an owner and as a friend to give you exactly what you need and disguise it as what you want.
Yeah, it's hiding vegetables in an omelet. And I think you said that perfectly. Like,
that CrossFit needs to get back to in terms of an outward branding is that there was a period where we almost try to make ourselves less hardcore or abrasive, or it's like, oh, look, it's just as easy to do as Orange Theory. I'm like, fuck Orange Theory. The only thing that separates us from everybody else is that we do hard things and we teach you how to do it, and we have a community here that will support you when you fail. If we don't give ourselves time to do that, then we are just like everybody else. Then the name on the door doesn't mean as much as it used to, because now we're just doing the 45 to 60-minute burn class of just a bunch of stuff and a mess. Instead, it's like, hey, this is a 15-minute workout. We're going to hit it as hard as we can. And for the other 45, we're going to coach, we're going to bond, we're going to deload, and we're going to give ourselves opportunity to be here because that's what you need.
Yeah, Chase, you're spot on. I want to share something vulnerable with you. As I've transitioned, and you probably went through this at some point, like as I've gotten married, I run a business now, I run the podcast, I run apparel. Like, training looks different for me now. Yeah. I don't have 2 sessions a day. I'm not jumping into a Metcon with Chandler Smith in the morning and then the evening jumping into something with Danny Spiegel and just getting destroyed in both, but kind of just like chasing around my friends. Mm-hmm. I train 45 to 90 minutes depending on the day.
Yep.
And it's weird, and maybe she's biased, but my wife's like, dude, you look better now than you did then. Like, you think more clear now. Like, you're not as in chronic pain when we go on like a long drive. Like, your knee's not hurting as much. Like, you can do things around the house now. Like, you're not just like broken when you come home. And I think it's tough, right? Because there is a psychological component there, Chase, where it's like a part of me is like, oh, I feel less than, like I don't do as much in the gym. Like, it kind of depreciates like gym confidence, but it enhances life confidence. And you have to think about the why and the goal. And I'm curious your thoughts on trying to create, because like I'm fine dealing with that now in the season of life that I'm in, but I use that as an example and a metaphor because how often, if I teach for 45 minutes, teaching, a Turkish get up and, maybe a Cossack squat, maybe active shoulder stability and using the crossover symmetry and allowing for that connection, people then come up, do the 15-minute Metcon. They're like, wait, that's it? I can do more. I'm paying all this money for just this? And it's like, I guess my question is like, how do you create buy-in around that? Because I agree with you that like less is more, but there's this like narrative in the world with social media of like more is better.
Yeah.
And it's tough because you're like competing against what people are opening their stories and they're like, dude, Eric Hinman ran 3 5Ks today and, mountain biked and then did sauna and ice at night and then did all these different like red light therapies and things. And I just did a 15-minute workout. I suck.
It goes back to the same thing as like, okay, less is more, but what avenue are we talking about? Oh, I did a 15-minute workout. That's all. If that's your question out there, like afterwards, what did I mess up? Because that should not be the case. Right? Less is more. It's like, okay, well, is less coaching more? Right? That's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to more coaching. If I give myself more time to find out who you are as an athlete, how you're showing up for the day, which is what you find out in warm-up, which is what you find out in prep for the workout. You look at the way they're moving, you look at the way their attitude, you're looking at the body language. I know exactly how to push you to the max of whatever you're showing up with today. And if I don't give myself time to do that because I'm doing more stuff that is detracting from what my job is to give you more from me, not give you more shit to do, then that's where the mistake is. And people think is like, all right, if I knew exactly how Bryce was showing up today, I want to make sure that when this 15 minutes is over, you're going to be on the floor next to Mary, next to Chase, and we're all going to feel the same way. And if I miss the mark, that might happen infrequently. But if I give myself more time to give more to the athletes, I shouldn't have that problem of, oh, that's it. And if we do have to have that, then we will have a conversation of why did that happen? What did we miss? Was it not heavy enough? Was it not as intense as it should be? Did we not push here when we should have? Was I not paying attention and watching you just cruise on the rower at a 210 when we should have been at a 145?
Yeah, you're spot on there. The honesty associated with that is huge. And I remember Nuno Costa said that to me. He's like, more is not better, better is better. And as a younger athlete, I was obsessed with junk miles. So I felt I was like, oh, Rich and Dan Bailey are doing these things, so I should do more. But you know what's really freaking cool? I had this coach in Chicago when I first started CrossFit, and I would like do the class, then I'd go to like firefighter school, and I'd do like EMT school, and then in the evenings it'd be like 9 to 11. I'd go and I'd like try to do like a version of functional bodybuilding because I was just skinny from basketball. I was like, I'm just not strong enough to do some of these RX weights or whatever. That was fun because it was explorative and I wasn't like pushing intensity. I was exploring new movements and trying to put on strength.
Yeah.
What I would love for people to take into consideration is just like leaving the gym wanting more. How beautiful is that? Versus leaving the gym like, oh my gosh, I don't think I could have done one more rep. Everything in my body hurts. I'm like limping to my car and I've got to go shit, shower, and shave before I head to this meeting.
Exactly.
The last 7 years of CrossFit was that for me. But my first 7 years of CrossFit was like, oh, I think I should do more. Maybe I'll do push-ups at nighttime. Maybe I'll put more effort into my nutrition. Like, I want to look this way. Oh, maybe I'll go to the gym if I have time. That's a level of like turning up the volume on this beautiful motivation factor. To me, that's beautiful coaching.
Oh, dude, I had a moment when I first started doing CrossFit. I worked out early and I just had a bad workout. I did it wrong. I screwed it up. And so I went to the coach like, I'm coming back tonight to do it again. Yes. He goes, no, you're not. I'm like, what do you mean? No, I'm not. He's like, you're not coming back. It's like, this was your one shot. This is what it is. If you don't want to feel like this, then let's do it right the next time. I was like, damn. And I was so mad. I was like, you can't tell me what to do. I want to do it again, right? I want more. I want another chance. Like, nope, you're going to sit in this and we're going to have a conversation of where you messed up, where you did this, how you messed it up, and then you're going to learn from it. And so the next time you get another opportunity, or say it's a benchmark workout that I screwed up, he's like, the next time you do it, right, now you know. But you're going to sit here all day wanting to do this again, and just I hope you hate this feeling, and so you come back wanting more the next day. Versus, like you said, get so burnt out, so disconnected. Like, where's their time to connect with people if from the very beginning of the class, it's here's the workout on the whiteboard, here's the warm-up, go grab your bar, go grab your box, get your rower out, 2 rounds of this. All right, now we do that. Okay, we're going to start the clock. Everybody ready in 2 minutes. We're going to do the strength portion. And there's nothing wrong with strength Metcon. That's fine with that, but whatever. But then it's like, all right, Metcon's over. Okay, get your kettlebells out. Put your rowers away. All right, you guys, remember this is part B. Do a couple of warm-up kip swings. We got pull-ups in here. I don't have time to teach you because there's no time to do anything. Like, where's the connection?
Yeah.
Where's the community? Mm-hmm. Where's your opportunity to create those relationships if it's so packed with so much crap that you don't have the opportunity? And that's where the biggest influence from the outside is permeating its way on the inside of CrossFit that I hope we get away from. It's supposed to be the best hour of your day. Not because it's so full of stuff that you just disconnect from the world and you can't think because there's too much to do, but it's supposed to be the best. Like, I would go to the gym excited to see people and talk to people. I would go to the gym so I could get coached. That's the difference between CrossFit and everybody else. We don't have lifeguards. And this is what Greg used to say so beautifully. We have swim instructors. There's a difference. Right? We're not giving you the fish, we're teaching you how to. Mm-hmm. That's CrossFit to the core. Yep. And that's what separates ourselves. There's nothing, like push-ups and pull-ups and dumbbells is not groundbreaking fitness. It's been around forever. The way we execute it, the way we implement it, and the way we have our trainers trained to coach the way CrossFit is supposed to be coached, to get the most out of everybody, to make sure they get what they need, not what they want. That's the difference between CrossFit and everybody else. That's what means more on the door than an orange splat or a 45 or anything like that. And by the way, I love anyone that wants to go to High Rocks or F45. Like, get out, please, get fit, get healthy, and make the world a better place because you put yourself in a position to be fit enough to do so. I just can't stand this new wave of I need more because that's what I want. It's like, no, you need better, right? And what you want isn't exactly what you need.
Yeah, man, you're spot on. You're spot on, and you and I are cut from the same cloth. And I'm really hearing what you're saying. I'm gonna hit with a little ending rant here. More is not better. Better is better. No disrespect to the people that are doing more. You don't look better. I'm not trying to be mean, but the chronic cardio is elevating the cortisol, which is then creating excess body fat or the increase of needing sugar or processed carbohydrates to continue performing at such a high level or with a high volume for such a long time. And so if your goal is health, if your goal is wellness, like, less is probably more. And then looking at what you're doing the other 23 hours of the day outside of just training to dial in depreciation and alcohol, more sleep, less processed carbohydrates, more protein, more real food, single ingredient foods. GLP-1s, that you might lose a little bit of weight, but you're also going to lose muscle mass. You're going to lose bone density. You're losing more than what you think. And so being strong is going to hold you capable for a longer period of time, especially from today's episode with 2 people that have lost parents that are very close to them. We would give anything to have them back. And bone density and falling is a huge risk as people get older. And so I really enjoyed today's conversation, man. Like, I think you shared so many intricacies around the beauty of CrossFit, why it matters, the methodology specifically, and how it fits. And it doesn't deter people from high rocks or half marathons or marathons. It makes you ready, so you don't have to get ready. You can go hike a mountain, you can surf, you can snowboard, you can pick up your kids. You can carry the bag of dog food into the backyard to get it into the bin so it's out of the way. I think there was a lot of really special intricacies that we touched on today, and I really appreciate your time, your energy, and your emotion today, Chase. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Was this kind of fun? Kind of play ping pong a little bit and touch on some things that maybe are outside of the world of what you normally chat about?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's just a lot of things I'm passionate about, and I just like talking about it. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to do so.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for being a part of Allsmith. Guys, if you enjoyed my conversation with Chase Ingraham, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And Chase, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, just at Chase_Ingram, where I just post mostly things of my kids too much of. And then Get With The Programming is a podcast me and Bill Grundler are at. And then I, Sport or Fitness podcasts, usually every Wednesday at noon on the CrossFit Games YouTube channel. So
very cool, man.
That's where you can find me.
And last thing, how do you kind of fill out that mustache? That upper caterpillar is just like, it's killing it, bro. It's like a nasal like filtration system. It's badass.
Yeah, I will say it's one of the things my father imparted on me.
I like that.
Yeah, one of those hand-me-downs. So yes,
I was going through your pictures, man, and I really appreciate you sharing. It was cathartic for me too to kind of listen to your experiences with your dad. But my dad too also had a mustache. I never saw him in my life without it. Whenever he and I got into it or like fought around something, I'd be like, hey, when you go to sleep, I'm going to shave half of it, so you have to shave the other half. And like we would fight about it, but I went through and saw some of your pictures. I'll text them over to you. But
okay.
Yeah, I felt that, man. It was really cool to like visit that and go down memory lane with you. And I'm always here for you if you want to chat about it, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun.
Cool, man. Guys, if you enjoyed my conversation with Chase Ingraham, please check him out. Today was a special conversation. And as always, stay on the hunt for who you've not yet become. Till next time.